Now, let me guess. You're tired of scrolling through a million workouts, trying every flashy cable exercise, and still wondering why your physique doesn't look like those guys you admire. The guys with wide shoulders and a tight waist, visible abs, arms that actually pop. That clean, aesthetic look. Now, here's the truth. You don't need 100 different exercises. You need the right ones that actually make a visual difference. No fluff, no random add-ons, just time-tested movements that build proportion, shape, and symmetry from top to bottom. And if you're serious about getting results, stick around to the end of the video and I'll tell you how to get a completely free 90-day workout plan that's built to prioritize those exact muscles: shoulders, chest, abs, arms, back, legs, everything. And it's all laid out, no guesswork and no BS. Now, let's get real about something. When most guys say they want to look good, they're not dreaming about being the biggest dude in the gym or squatting 5 plates. What they actually want is to look aesthetic, that sharp, balanced, superhero-like look. Not oversized and bloated, but lean, strong, and well put together. A body that turns heads without even trying. Think of someone like Chris Hemsworth, for example, in Thor, or the animated physiques you see in characters like Goku or All Might. It's not just about raw muscle mass. It's all about the proportion, flow, and visual impact. At the heart of an aesthetic physique is the illusion of symmetry and balance. And yes, I said illusion on purpose, because it's not always about being as big as possible, but about looking like everything fits perfectly together. There are a few key traits that define this look: broad shoulders, a tight waist, wide lats forming that classic V taper, a full upper chest, defined abs, and arms that pop without needing to flex. Now, legs too, believe it or not, but more on that later. At the end of the day, building an aesthetic physique isn't about training everything equally. It's about understanding which muscles create visual impact and then training those with intention. You don't need to be massive, you just need to be proportionate, balanced, and consistently sharp across your entire frame. Aesthetics is a game of details. And if you want to train with purpose, those details will start to show even when you're just walking down the street in a t-shirt, which is something that honestly a lot of people point out to me a lot in public too. All right, now let's talk about the muscle that everyone notices first, especially from the front: shoulders. If you could only train one muscle group to instantly look more aesthetic, it should actually be the shoulders. Why? Because shoulders are the frame. They define your width. They're the reason some guys walk into a room and instantly look athletic, even in a plain t-shirt. When your delts are well developed, especially the side delts, they make your waist look smaller, your chest look bigger, and your whole physique just looks so much more impressive without even flexing. Now, here's the problem. Most lifters over-prioritize presses and front delt work, while their lateral and rear delts just absolutely fall behind. That's what creates that rounded, hunched, or boxy look you often see in guys who can bench a ton but still don't look aesthetic. You know what I mean? The foundation of any shoulder routine should still be the seated overhead press, done with a barbell or dumbbells. This compound movement trains the front and side delts, builds real strength, and adds density to the upper torso. But the key is doing it right. Sit upright, keep your core tight, and press without turning it into an incline chest press. Focus on clean reps with control, not just heaving weight overhead. But the real game changer for aesthetics is isolating the side delts, and nothing beats the behind the body cable lateral raise. This version is more effective than dumbbells because it keeps constant tension on the muscle. Standing slightly in front of the cable and letting your arms stretch behind your torso creates a better alignment with the side delt fiber direction. No more trap takeover, no more ego swinging, just pure side delt isolation. And then there's the most underrated part of your shoulders, the rear delts. Now, 99% of lifters either just skip these or do them with sloppy bent over flies that do more for their traps than their delts. And honestly, I used to be in the first camp, but now I've been training them at least for about 4 months now, and I've seen a ton of growth. Now, here's the solution. use a supported one-arm cable rear delt fly popularized by guys like Jeff Nipper. Now, the setup is pretty simple. Use a rear delt pec fly machine and just use one hand at a time. But you have to make sure that you're bracing the other side you're not working with your arm. Now make sure you are just trying to fly the weight out as much as possible. That's how you have to think about it. And start with really light weight, okay? This exercise isolates the rear delts perfectly. And over time, it adds depth and definition to your upper back, fixing that flat from behind look that so many lifters struggle with. Strong, balanced shoulders are what takes your physique from gym guy to absolute superhero. They're the visual anchor of aesthetics. Build your delts intentionally and the rest of your upper body starts falling into place. Once your shoulders are built out and wide, the next step is developing a chest that matches that width and completes a front view of your body. A well-developed chest doesn't just add size, it adds shape. It frames the torso, enhances your posture, and gives you that round, full look that shows through even in a basic t-shirt. But here's the reality. Most guys overdo the flat bench and neglect the upper chest. And that's the fastest way to end up with a chest that looks decent from the side, but completely underwhelming from the front. You'll see some size, but not the shape or lift that makes your physique stand out. To actually build a chest that looks aesthetic, you need to lead with the incline barbell press. This movement targets the clavicular head of the pecs, the upper portion that creates that lifted, shelf-like appearance. When this area is underdeveloped, the chest just looks flat. But when it's strong, it blends seamlessly into the shoulders and makes the entire upper body look so much more powerful and complete. Please use a moderate incline, stay tight throughout the upper back, and focus on pushing the bar in a controlled path, not bouncing it off your chest. And also make sure to keep your forearms straight. To complement that and add thickness to the entire chest, include the flat dumbbell press. Dumbbells allow for a deeper stretch, more natural range of motion, and an independent arm control, which helps build balanced size and control on both sides. This exercise is especially effective when performed on a slight pause at the bottom and a strong squeeze at the top, really contracting the chest through a full range of motion. Together, the incline barbell press and flat dumbbell press gives you the perfect combination of shape and size. The incline builds the chest up and out, while the dumbbell press fills it in and adds that dense, round look. Avoid overcomplicating your chest routine with every cable and machine variation you guys see online. 2 or 3 key movements performed consistently and with a focus will always outperform variety without intention. The chest isn't just about pressing heavy. It's about pressing smart and building a chest that completes the aesthetic structure you started with your shoulders. Now we flip it around because what you don't see in the mirror is just as important. If your shoulders give your physique width and your abs bring in detail, then your back is what creates the overall silhouette. It's the structure that frames your entire upper body. And while it might not be the muscle group you stare at in the mirror every day, it's one of the most important areas for creating that classic V-tapered aesthetic. The shape that makes your waist look tighter, your abs look broader, and your overall physique so much more dominant. A well-developed back isn't just about looking good in a tank top, it's about presence. When your lats flare out and your mid-back is thick and defined, you look stronger, more athletic, and more complete from every angle. Front, side, and especially from behind. The first exercise that should be in every lifter's routine is the pull-up. Simple, yes, but it's also brutally honest. Most people can't even do 10 good ones. Not even one. And that's exactly why they work. Pull-ups train the entire upper back, including the lats, traps, teres major, and even the biceps. But when you perform them with strict form, full hang at the bottom, chest to bar at the top, they target the lats in a way that few other movements can replicate. This is the muscle that creates that sweeping width of the back, giving you that dramatic V shape. When you've mastered bodyweight pull-ups, it's time to level up with weighted versions. Add a dip belt, hold a dumbbell between your feet, or use a weighted vest. The point is to just progressively overload your lats while maintaining perfect form. This progression not only builds back width, but also carries over to improvements in your grip, core, and overall upper body strength. To complement pull-ups, the incline dumbbell row should be a staple in your routine. What makes this movement so effective is its strictness. By laying chest down on an incline bench, you eliminate momentum and prevent your lower back from taking over. This forces the mid-back, particularly the rhomboids, rear delts, and upper lats, to do all the work. The movement is simple but brutally effective. Pull the elbows towards your hips and a slight angle. Squeeze your shoulder blades together at the top and lower under control. You'll feel muscles firing that you didn't even know existed. The last back movement that deserves more attention is the dumbbell pullover. This old school favorite used to be a staple among bodybuilders like Arnold, and for a good reason. It targets both the chest and lats in one continuous motion, and stretches the muscles in a way that most rowing or pulling movements just cannot. More than just a lat builder, the pullover helps open the rib cage, especially for younger lifters, and enhances the overall appearance of the upper torso. When done with a deep stretch and controlled tempo, it contributes to that flowing, wide to narrow shape that defines an aesthetic upper body. Putting this all together, these three movements, pull-ups for width, incline dumbbell rows for thickness, and dumbbell pullovers for shape, creates a complete back that's not only strong but visually impressive. You don't need 5 different machines or random cable exercises to build an aesthetic back. You need movements that let you connect to the muscle, apply consistent tension, and train through a full range of motion. When trained with intent, your back becomes more than just another muscle group. It becomes the canvas that your entire upper body is built upon. You can have a wide back, broad shoulders, and a full chest, but if your arms are absolutely flat, your abs are absolutely soft, and your legs are neglected, your physique will always feel unfinished. These muscle groups are often treated as accessories to things you hit at the end of a workout or just throw in when you quote-unquote have time. But the truth is, they're the finishing touches. They're what separates a strong body from an aesthetic one. They create proportion, polish, and flow from head to toe. Let's start with the arms now. Because whether people admit it or not, most lifters just want developed biceps and triceps that pop out of a t-shirt. But building aesthetic arms isn't about swinging heavy dumbbells or maxing out barbell curls. It's about targeted, intentional movements that sculpt each part of the arm with precision. For biceps, one of the most effective and underrated movements is the single arm preacher curl. By bracing the arm against a preacher bench or an incline bench, you eliminate momentum and isolate the bicep entirely. This setup forces strict form, and that's where the real progress actually happens. To take it even further, incorporate wrist supination at the top of the movement. Turning the palm up and slightly out increases activation of the short head of the bicep, helping build that classic peak. When done properly, this one movement alone can reshape your biceps over time. Now, to complement that, bring in the single arm preacher hammer curl. It uses the same strict setup, but with a neutral grip. This shifts the emphasis to the brachialis, a deeper muscle that sits between the biceps and triceps. When developed, the brachialis pushes the biceps up from underneath, adding width and 3D thickness to the arm, especially from a side angle. It also engages the long head of the biceps more directly, which also helps to balance the arm shape. Now, if you want arms that actually look impressive, you just cannot ignore the triceps. A lot of guys train biceps way more than triceps. And while that's not a mistake, as I do it myself, around 2/3 of your upper arm size comes from the triceps, not the biceps. So if your arms are lacking, it's often because your triceps are underdeveloped. One of the most aesthetic focused tricep movements is the overhead tricep extension. Whether you're using a dumbbell or a rope, the overhead position puts the long head of the triceps under stretch, and that's the part responsible for most of your arm's mass from the back and side view. The key here is control and range. No half repping. Let the weight stretch behind your head, then extend fully, locking out with a squeeze. To finish off the triceps and really bring in that definition, use a single arm cable kickback. Done correctly, this isolates the triceps in a fully shortened position, which is something most other tricep movements miss. But you have to keep it strict. No swinging, no momentum. Set your upper arm in place. Extend the elbow and focus on squeezing the triceps at the top. It's a small range of motion, but when done right, it builds shape and sharpness. Next, let's talk about the abs, a muscle group that everyone wants, but few train correctly. Visible abs are often seen as a byproduct of low body fat. And while that's partially true, training them directly makes a huge difference, especially the lower abs, which are often the most neglected and hardest to develop. The hanging leg crunch is one of the most effective movements for this. By raising your legs, curling the hips towards your chest, you train the lower abs through both hip flexion and spinal flexion. This movement also engages your entire core, improves control, and helps tighten the lower abdomen. But remember, form is everything. Don't just swing your legs up and down. Focus on controlled lifts, keeping your core tight and crunching at the top. It's the difference between doing the movement and actually training the muscle. Finally, we get to the legs. Probably the most skipped part of the body for anyone chasing aesthetics. Let's be honest. Here's the reality. You can't build a physique that looks complete without well-developed legs. Even if you never want to look like a bodybuilder, you still need proportion. A strong, athletic lower body supports everything else and makes your upper body gains look even more impressive in comparison. The back squat should be your foundation. It's a compound movement that targets the quads, hamstrings, glutes, and even the core. When done with proper form and depth, it adds overall mass and strength to the lower body. More importantly, it builds symmetry. It's not just about how much you can lift, it's about training your body to move with stability, balance, and control. To complement the squat, nothing beats a Bulgarian split squat. This single leg exercise challenges your balance, exposes weaknesses, and directly targets the glutes and quads. It also improves mobility and helps fix muscular imbalances, especially between your left and right side. Now, I'm gonna be honest, it's one of those exercises that hurts when you're doing it, but pays off visually so much over time. For aesthetics, this is gold, top tier to be honest. It builds shape, definition, and functional strength all in one. Put all of this together, and what you get is a complete balanced physique. Sculpted arms, a tight functional core, and legs that match the top half in size and athleticism. These aren't just add-ons, they're what brings everything together. You can have the best chest and the best back in the world, but if your arms are soft, your waistline lacks definition, or your legs are weak, the entire look just falls apart. Train these finishing touches with just as much intent as the big movements. Pay attention to form, connection, and progression. Over time, you'll go from just fit to aesthetic, not just strong, but visually dialed in from every angle. So here's the bottom line. You don't need to do 40 different exercises every week. You need to master 10 to 12 that actually move the needle. Focus on the ones we broke down today. Train with intent, progress over time, fix your form. The visual changes will speak for themselves. Aesthetic training is precise. You're not just building muscle, you're crafting your physique, shaping each muscle group to flow into the next. That's what makes people turn their heads. That's what makes you look complete. And if you're ready to take this seriously, I've got a free 90-day workout plan that puts all of this into action. It's built to target the most important aesthetic muscles in the most effective way with a full app-based guide, progress tracking, and no cost at all. The link is down below. Now, you guys have zero excuses. Drop a comment if you made it this far and let me know what muscle group you're focusing on next. I read every single one of my comments in every single video. Stay consistent, stay intentional. Let's build a physique that actually turns heads. Peace.